And I think G2 on their worst performances will not beat Virtus.pro today, but G2 on their best performances will shred Virtus.pro today. For me, it all depends which G2 turn up, and that comes down to the individuals, which Doki, which Stomper, which Lawyer. That is what is going to determine this matchup, not maps, not operators. It's going to be down to those individuals and what they show up.
You know what, Tim? There are so many university students out there that could take real inspiration from what you've just done, because you've just did a whole lot of nothing in the space of about 60 seconds there. That is prime thesis material on how to make a Rainbow Six prediction.
Nah, that's
Give me the straight
accurate.
answer.
You'll see.
G2 or Virtus.pro? Give me one or the other.
Virtus.pro.
Thank you. I was going to say G2, not because I'm trying to disagree with you, I promise. Virtus.pro for me are that very consistent team at like the 80% level. They're extremely good. Probably the best team that we've got right now. G2 on their day, I think, could exceed that 80% mark. However, all these pieces have to come together. So I'm going to lean towards G2 because I think it's that kind of day. I don't think you go to bank against this team if you don't have a plan in mind and you're really feeling it. I think they're going to have their number today.
That's the big thing. Anybody backing G2 is backing them to have their day. And I feel like they had a day yesterday, Des. Doki came out big. We had his clutches. It all went right for them. Is that going to carry through? Is that momentum going to be there? Or were Virtus.pro sat there watching that, rubbing their hands, thinking, you're going to have to do this again. You're going to have to go back to back on this form if you want to beat us. And I just feel like Virtus.pro and maybe that team to just grind them down. We know Virtus.pro will get that kind of result. You know, just frustrate you, just grind you down. And every kill you get, they'll trade it out. That was something Virtus.pro did yesterday. I was watching them and they were on board and they were just a nightmare. Joystick was just baiting people in so that Dan could kill them. So there was just always a team play, always a duo, always some great counterplay. And I think Virtus.pro are going to bring more of that today.
It's going to be really interesting looking at the bans too. The Deimos, I think many would expect to see coming in here. Dan's picked up a few times, taken away from him. The Monty, the interesting one, because there's the guys from Art over on the desk who seem quite an aggressive Virtus.pro, and a lot of that has come from always running around on Diffuse. And you might look at Fuse and think, wow, well, the gadget is perfect. It's not really the gadget you're using it for, to be honest. It's the fact that it's a shield. Yes, the gadget has its uses. Hard breach charges also really help because it does free them up to say, okay, then, our other three operators that aren't the Hibana, we can play pretty much anything on. Speaking of, here's Dan to start things off. We're speaking about him playing the Deimos just as lethal on any other operator and playing the old reliable IQ. Still, it's going to be Doki finding a C4 from below to get rid of Joystick. Sledge offline.
I think regardless of who comes out on top here, we're going to see a lot of Siege in this first match. You know, maybe overtime, maybe not, but I think those opening kills have just shown us exactly what to expect. So, yep, VP coming big. Yep, G2 have got an answer, and I think it's just going to be an absolute slugfest, just back and forward. And at the minute, Virtus.pro just a little bit slow about getting in the building. We're at the minute-and-a-half mark and not really established yet. Haven't forced Alamau to move.
He knows that Always is in here, so he'll have to drop away pretty quickly. And sure enough, Alamau's not going to take his chances in going for a 1v1. Drops away nice and safely. Happy that we've seen a minute and 45 of the round pass us by. This feels like a good point for G2 to then fall back and start playing behind the utility, but getting rid of Doki. That's not so great. Always making the Fuse look just as lethal as any other operator there, despite only having the pistol.
Just good intel. It just goes to show, you know, what fundamentals will do for you. That's why we go on and on about the basics, why we go on and on about the drone game and how many they've got left and what they're working with. Right now, 3 standard drones and obviously the Twitch drone as well, but still, I would say Virtus.pro a little bit starved of intel now in this last 40 seconds. They've got to hope that they've done enough work already.
There we go, trying to get rid of all that gadgetry inside of sites. When he goo mines down, any remaining, of course, the cameras is probably taken out. But now the smokes start coming through. Tim and Laura's still got 2 in back pocket. They can sort this all the way out. Virtus.pro are going to have to go deep, but they found the kills they need to. It don't matter about this hold a bit deeper back. Alamau's all by himself, flashed out there. And Virtus.pro, once again, the oppressive force that cannot be stopped.
Great kill onto Lyra there. Open things up for Virtus.pro. As soon as that smoke goes, you're absolutely right. They can just completely burn out the rest of that round with those smoke canisters. And Virtus.pro knew that. They had a plan. They took down Lyra and they get themselves the first round. I think there was good spells from both of them in there, but G2 have picked Bank into Virtus.pro, who love Bank, They have to show us more, Des. I don't want to be too critical. It was round 1. There is work to be done yet, of course, but they need to start doing it quickly, because I'll tell you now, if Virtus.pro go into the second half of this, 4-2, 5-1 up, going on to the defense, it's done.
Very interesting you mentioned that, Tim. I was looking back at the last game where Virtus.pro, well, as a team dared challenge Virtus.pro on this map. It was FaZe, but I think, as we all know, are also quite hot prospects themselves on Bank. It was a win to Virtus.pro in the end, 7-5. They won 3 of their attacks. The first 3 they won in a row. First round actually started out flawless as well. So back then, as we would have said for FaZe, we'll give G2 that time to warm into it. But Virtus.pro have come here and they are not mucking about in that first round. What sort of had me a little bit was that there was a lot of stall ability for G2. I remarked on those extra 2 smokes left. And when you came around to Alamal being the last player left alive, there wasn't anyone pushing down main stairs. There wasn't anyone really looking to challenge the players that were dug a bit deeper. They got a little bit aggressive there in trying to stop Virtus.pro and paid the price, dying to hatch players and those that were also stood on the server door. So in a way, I think it was partly G2 trying to snap back before Virtus.pro could really pull off the execute, which surprised them. They had 2 smokes still in back pocket. So maybe a slight overreaction by G2. Who knows? But that's how it looks at least from this perspective. All that matters is that Virtus.pro came away with the round.
G2 could really do with getting the opening kill this round, I think. Virtus.pro were able to take it.
They could do with it every round, Tim.
It's always the case, but I just think here it gets them on that front foot quickly. Like I said, you know, you've just said it there. World Champions FaZe at 3-3 couldn't come back and beat Virtus.pro. They were able to get it done with 3 attacks. If they get 4 or 5, forget about it. And so G2 need to get started as soon as possible on defense. And that starts with a nice opening kill. Give yourself the advantage. Look at this work Virtus.pro are doing already on Janitor.
That was really interesting from Blaz. I think he was trying to freeze off the Selmas as they came through too, so that it would outlast the smoke. Then they'd step out, take off those Selmas, and then everything would be absolutely fine. But no, very much paid the price for it. And Tim, it does feel like a rare map where we haven't seen the Hibana and Ace band pairing come on through here. It does mean, of course, that white corridor is not super safe to play in. And as you can imagine, Shepard, the watchful eye, watching down that white corridor is really going to restrict the movement of these G2 players.
They're just waiting for the moment here now with Virtus.pro. I think they feel pretty confident. That's big from Doki there, just getting in, getting that bandit battery on, taking that risk that he's not going to be picked up on a skinny angle from that rappel as he moves under the breach. So that breach could have maybe done with being a little bit lower at Virtus.pro, giving G2 a bit of an opportunity. 1 minute left to go, but look at this. The plant is going down. Always is going to stick it. You know that pros don't fake.
Got all the way through, and 2 quick kills off the back of it. Laura getting at least 1 back. I think he was desperate to get underneath there, Tim, but he was a bit too late to react. And my God, have they paid the price. Pasha, top-rated player for this team over the last month, is cleaning up in this round. And in this game, really, a kill for Always and a kill for Joystick. Virtus.pro, it just feels like you're playing against the Terminator team. They've got everything considered.
G2 certainly getting terminated at the minute. 2-0 down in quick fashion. And we're seeing again from Virtus.pro getting in there, getting that diffuser down. It was something that the desk picked up on. I think it was a 48% plant rate for them. Only outdone by Loud over in SAL, who've got 50%. So far, 2 rounds, 1 plant. They are continuing that trend. Virtus.pro, it's been a trait of this team for a long time, and it's why we talk about Shepard in that bracket of best ever support players. He does so much work, and his team do it. I know it was Always that planted that time, but the team do so much work and always have to play the objective, not to go in there and just look for kills, to create space, to clear utility, and to get a plant down. And that's what we saw them do fantastically well in that last round. I always talk about Janitor on that top floor hold. That's where teams want to stop you planting from. That's where the mirror window goes. That's where a Warden will play. That's where they stack their killer utility. And Virtus.pro just took it away from them quite easily.
All right, we're going to try the downstairs once again here, Tim, with a couple of changes coming out. It's not just a smoke this time. You've also got Stompin, as you can see, stepping across onto bringing along the Chanka. Now, we spoke about Chanka a lot on this side because sometimes we've seen teams be very, very sly and ban away a smoke on this map, and it has forced teams towards playing the Chanka. Sometimes, I think about old school BDS here, of course, now Team Falcons. I remember a few times when Brede on this map would instead run the Chanka instead of the smoke. And time we'd see teams just largely ignore the Chanka because the spread of the fire wasn't actually that large large, like, yeah, maybe it blocked to the full plant spot. It's like, okay, then I'll go a single step further and go for another plant spot. No issue at all. And so it's had limited impact, but I think paired up with both the Vulcan canisters of the glass and the smoke canisters of the smoke, as well as a couple of C4s, it actually may well give them the air of they need collectively to make this a nightmare. Doki, once again, that Joystick can be fed up with this. It's the second time they've attacked this site. He's started on the top floor of Sledge and he's been C4'd out by Doki from below. And this round, he's not even on the Valkyrie, Tim.
Still getting the job done, though. Manages to find his man, and that's the opening kill that I feel G2 sorely needed to get them really involved in this one. Virtus.pro now on the back foot and have to do something. Interestingly, though, Shepard is on the Ying. We saw some great Ying play yesterday from Team Secret against Matchco on this map. Very dominant performance from them. Round 4 and 5 particularly, the Ying was pretty influential. So keep an eye on Shepard and see exactly where those Candelas are deployed. I've got a feeling they're going to be towards blue stairs.
Well, Loira, as you can see, is very solely here to waste time, right? He is completely alone. No one's there really giving him support inside a server. He is going to be dead to rights at some point or another. And as you remarked on, there's a lot of utility scattered up here. We've got barbed wire, Vulcan canisters, the smoke himself with the shotgun, plus those 3 canisters. Worst case scenario, he dies pretty quickly here and loses the 3 smokes. I was going to say proactive use of those just to make sure that winding away more time and delaying away Virtus.pro probably is the right sort of play. But look at this, a Yin coming in from the backside. Could be a lot of pressure about to build up here, but does he walk away with a kill or not? I'm actually going to find out.
Yeah, off goes the Candela.
Never mind.
Perfectly timed small canister from Loira, though. And there goes Pasha, clears him out beautifully. They just dropped into server, and that's how you deal with blue stairs. 40 seconds left to go, though. VP need to get moving. Plaz is out in garage. He's confident now that nobody is going to be pushing from that rear side. So G2, they can just front up the hatch. They can front up servers. But will it be enough when these Candelas start coming in? We know how brutal the Yin can be. It's a similar push to we saw last time. We've got the fuse charge on the default spot wall, just looking to clear any utility before they get in there and start trying to put that diffuser down. Advantage now swings, goes to BP as it's 4v3. Des, can they get this diffuser down again?
Oh, 2 quick kills that they were trying to get rid of stopping but couldn't quite find him. G2 miles to enough here. The cover is there. C4 comes over but misses it out, and they managed to get the complete as well. It's a massive play required here from Always Tim, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him.
The problem is he's only got the pistol, Des. He's on the fuse shield, so he's got to take these engagements with the pistol. He finds one, surely not more. He's going to go back for the shield, but no, Blaz manages to find him from the top of the stairs. It was always going to be a big ask after getting that diffuser down. It was just... They were clinging on the edge, Virtus.pro, couldn't get it done, and it was a better round from G2. They stood up well to the pressure from the Candelas. There was 2 kills particularly. It was 4 versus 3, and it swung really quickly as Virtus.pro started to push. G2 got 2 kills, got themselves a man advantage, and were able to hold on. Better defense from them. They seem to have really woken up in round 3.
Most definitely, and I think a key one, Tim, is that in those first 2 rounds, G2 only found a couple of kills, so to see them having that kind of round is really good for the mental. Those 2 kills they found in the mid-round were the crucial ones, because if Stompin died there at back, they've not really got too much more denial left. A single C4 that they could probably shoot out of the air, it would have made life really, really tricky. So the fact he didn't go down was huge. Let's have a listen. In fact, no, we can't listen to tap timeouts, unfortunately. Not today, at least. So... to comment more on that round a bit further, one thing I did really want to bring up mid-round, but obviously all the chaos was breaking out. The use of smokes across those first 3 rounds from Virtus.pro has been absolutely spectacular. Whether it was smoking off the front desk player up on top floor, we saw it being used a second ago there to cut out potential angles onto the site itself when they were trying to pinch onto Loira. They've just always got the perfect position for a smoke to go down, to isolate out players, to ensure that Selmas are going through. I haven't seen one that I looked at and thought, well, that's a bit wasted, or it's a bit of a, we'll hope for the very best off the back of this one. It's just been, again, everything has its place in this Virtus.pro side. Everyone knows what they've got to do. The information is great. Utility use is perfect. They're absolutely on point with their gunning so far today. Admittedly, G2 brought a lot of support back in the middle of that round. Very, very crucial. But it's just hard to find fault with this team so far.
Reloading! The thing is, it's Virtus.pro, isn't it? I think the problem that Virtus.pro have maybe had over the years, and this goes, you know, a long way back, is we would often say, you know what Virtus.pro are going to do? Everybody knows what Virtus.pro, everybody knows what this roster are going to do. They're just going to do it better than you can stop them, essentially. They're just going to come in there and absolutely hit everything. The days where they don't are the days where, or seasons, stages, events, where they get punished. But when they are on form, when they are hitting those shots, they are just A, a joy to watch, and B, a nightmare to stop. And that's what Virtus.pro looked like today. It was, you know, pretty much the same attack that they used previously. They just added the Ying in, but still it was so close to working, and G2 are having to fight tooth and nail just to get it over the line. And it's just textbook Virtus.pro, like you say.
It's hard to deal with. However, G2 have got a small respite in this game. Let's see how they do for the next three. I'll remind you again, last time Virtus.pro played this map, it was against FaZe. VP got up 3-0. I imagine if we were casting the game at the time, we were saying, wow, there's no way this half ends 3-3, and then it ends 3-3. Maybe G2 off the back of that tack timeout, course correct here, and start picking up some of those rounds that they so sorely need. Because as you said at the start, Tim, you come out this half 4-2 down as G2, it's going to be really hard to fight your way back in.
Yeah, I think that's a tough ask once VP get on defense, the bank especially. You know, as we've said, their favorite map, they're going to be rock solid, we would expect. Bravo drone, already been taken out once, goes in again, looking for a little bit more utility to grab. Gets a bit of intel. He's going to grab a bit of utility as well. There goes the FNAT, so that's going to take it away from the defenders. It just gives a little bit of a clear path to Virtus.pro should they want to push in, but they're going to have to deal with the top floor first. That is going to be Nades coming in towards Alamau. He's in that janitor position again. A little bit more successfully this time. I think Virtus.pro are just struggling a bit more, but it doesn't matter when they're just going to rush onto site, pick up Doki, and Pasha, he can just sit here and wait now.
He can, like, they can even follow him in if they wanted to. Of course, it will introduce some risk, but Doubt always wants to just march in after him. He's actually still outside the map overall. But Pasha has found a big gap here, and it's going to be a bit worrying for G2. They've still got the vertical control, as you're seeing from Blaz upstairs. They can try and challenge a bit, but the problem with it being the Nuck, Tim, it doesn't matter what kind of intel you've got, what those bulletproofs are doing for you. You can't see nothing, and he's just found a second. Admittedly, it was a challenge, makes it a third, and I think Pasha has just solo won the round for his team. Blaz gets the shut down, but it's too little too late, Tim.
There's been a very simple comm there from Pasha, I can guarantee it. I don't know the Russian for it, but he's walked into site and said, I'm on site, boys. I'm on site,
you know what
boys.
it reminds me of? It makes
Fresh
me
is
think
laughing because he does it round after round.
I was just about to say, that is Fresh in ranked. I've played him for a long time, but I know, like, oh, I'm in site, boys.
But it's the same thing. I'm in site here, boys. And then kill, rounds over. That's brilliant from Pasha. Look, he's used the knock perfectly. You know, using that quietness, that silence, that taking yourself off. That embodies knock as an operator for me. Just beautiful kill onto Doki. Works his way in. Kind of a bit of a lack of prep from G2. Not really aware that he's coming. And they've just been absolutely decimated by Pasha.
I think taking the risky but unexpected play there of charging in towards site was one thing, right? Like, almost the way G2 lucky they didn't lose the second player. And the painful thing is they knew that he was in there as well. Because you saw the reaction as Laura steps round, he's gone in for that 1 versus 1. He's lost. Alamau's then is looking for another 1v1 and he's lost. And you look back a lot of the great clutches through history. I think back to the incredible play from Nello, of course, on Coastline, walking down that top floor corridor and just absolutely slaughtering the enemy team that stand before him. It makes me think of that. These plays where a player can walk a 3K or a 4K are very rarely down to them just having way more skill than other pros at this level because everyone is ridiculously good. It's finding opportunities like that where the enemy team makes a small mistake. They give you 1v1 after 1v1 after 1v1 that lets you get those moments. And he's played it to perfection there. He's seen the opportunity and he has taken it. G2 now are going to be reeling.
And the question is, how do they steady the ship? That's the important job now for G2. They need 2 more rounds. That, like I said, 4-2 or 5-1. It's never over until it's over. But I think against Virtus.pro on defensive bank, 4-2 or 5-1, it's as good as over. So G2 really need these next 2 rounds if they want. And even then, it's going to be tough. I still expect Virtus.pro to go a 4-2 half. I expect them to be able to defend 2 sides successfully. But
Tim, look, they're going so hard into trying to deny this top floor. Because look at what's happened the last few times. Virtus.pro have come in, dropped a smoke onto the mirror window, opened it up with Selma's at range, and then just played off the back of that. And G2 have kind of realised, we're panicking a little bit here, boys. We need to slow this down. C4 is a good way to try and catch Virtus.pro off guard, or at the very least take things away. But look, once again, there's very little they can do, and they're using the distraction of the smoke to get rid of the mirror window. Oh, they just keep on layering things onto G2.
Absolutely beautiful. And again, it's this key position of Janitor. And it's not been completely dealt with, but it's been heavily dealt with by removing that mirror. It makes it really difficult for Alamau now because he knows if he peeks his head up above the parapet, it's likely to be removed. Just like always does to Doki. 5 versus 4, and Virtus.pro are taking us all to school on Bank right now.
They're making it look easy, Tim, is the key one. And the best part about that, they only committed 1 Selma. Last time they used all 3, but G2 still got suckered into focusing on that 1 Selma and looking at what they could do about it, which is what let the shot drone get in and do its work. Always has still got 2 Selmas to make use of here if they want to try it again. Not that I think they really need to, because although, yes, G2 have got control of Janitor, and that makes repelling into the windows a little bit difficult, they're going to have to send one on the backside like they're trying to do here. There's still a lot of pressure they can start applying. As the first stock will be called comes out, this is when the moves begin.
I'm not sure how aware Virtus.pro are of Loira at the minute. He could play spoiler here, but he needs to do it quickly because Pasha manages to pick up Alamau. There goes Loira, but it's too little too late. He finds one. The plant is going down. He's trying to spray through walls. He's clutching at straws nowadays. If he'd just gone 20 seconds earlier, maybe it has a bigger impact on the round. Maybe it makes Virtus.pro think twice about going in for the plant, but no. They have got it completely locked down. 4-1. They are running away with this.
I think we need to consult the scale, Tim. How bothered do Virtus.pro look by the defenses coming out from G2?
They are firmly over it, not bothered.
Very heavily towards not bothered.
They are just doing what they want to do, Des.
They are flourishing, Tim. They're in their lane. They're having a good time. That's unfortunate.
It's been great from Virtus.pro. We've picked up on a number of things that they've done, and there's probably been 100 others that we haven't picked up on. But like the play with the Twitch drone, sending it into the smoke, getting it through the drone hole, the whole distraction of a Selma charge and a smoke on the mirror. But it doesn't matter because it's the Twitch drone that's taking it. It's just beautiful. So it's wheels within wheels. It's just wonderful.
And I'm hard pressed to see how G2 stop this. Now, the key thing for me is, does Joystick do something differently this round? We spoke about it a bit, how Virtus.pro, they play their style, they play it down well, and they're hard to stop. They set themselves, they're trying to add a bit more aggression, a bit more unpredictability. Fantastic. And then even without it today, they've still managed to show they can do the same thing time and time again and run G2 over. Just make small modifications each round, and that's more than enough for them. I'm looking at this round and just thinking, okay, Joystick has always been C4'd out by Doki. Are we going to see the same again, or does he learn from his mistake and does it make it 3 in a row? Also, this changed, by the way. The Maverick on side now in place of what was previously going to be the Hibana, because they realized, okay, they're now running a lot of Kaid. For the first 4 rounds, we didn't see it out of G2. These last 2, they've run it. That's been, again, a small twist or modification to deal with what G2 were trying to throw at them, but clearly hasn't worked so well so far.
Just getting that vertical opened up to start applying that pressure in towards blue, clearing out that utility. Look at the value from that nade. And I know, again, it's not a difficult thing to do, but if you remember, I spoke about Virtus.pro and the way that they prep the sites, the way that they create the space they need to take ground and to put the diffuser down, how well they play that objective game. And it's just an example of it. Straight in, soft breach charge, nade onto top blue, Vulcan canister and barbed wire gone. We're not even a minute into the round, and they are removing a phenomenal amount of utility away from their path.
I don't want to read into it too much, but at the moment that nade went off and got both the barb and the Vulcan canister, Laura's player cam was on screen. He was just shaking his head like, I can't believe they've got rid of this. A, so fast, and B, got rid of both pieces of utility at once. Like, that is criminal, but they managed to get away with it as quickly as they have. And now he'll start feeling the heat and the pressure. But if you remember last time, it was Pasha who dropped through the hatch and managed to get rid of his man. Making good use here as well of the... We spoke about the fuse charges earlier not being too effective or not really being in Virtus.pro's wheelhouse as a central part of the strat, but it definitely helps clearing away a lot of utility in very cramped sites, like we often see on the downstairs of Bank.
It just also gives a little bit of space if you've got Shepard trying to map
in the practice range. He knows what he's doing. Look at him go.
You don't want somebody underneath it. You don't want that pressure. Get the fuse charge in there. Not only does it clear that utility, it displaces people a little bit. Blaz has replaced himself now. Going to take a little pot shot there, but it's not going to do the job. The Mav gets the hole open. Nitro goes out the wrong way. Won't be successful. G2, they've not done badly here. 2 minutes into the round. Still 5 left alive, but the real pressure is going to come now. I don't
think Virtus.pro really care about the kills at this point. They're just thinking, yeah, cool, we've cleared away all this utility. We've got all the map control that we want. Switches are as, server is as. You've even got someone I think lurking down towards Garage here, maybe looking out towards Joystick, who has always gone down early, but Alamau's found his man. Good kill for him to find out as it removes a little bit of backstab pressure, but Tim, with all that going on, they're getting the plant down. There's no banana. C4 comes over. It does damage, but not enough. Always steps away. A little bit of sleep at the wheel there, Laura, with that last smoke, and G2 may pay the price. However, in a 5v3, this is their best chance to win.
They know that the push is going to come.
Okay, never mind.
And Pasha, he just keeps hold of the trigger, just keeps on shooting, finds two. Blaz tries to get on the diffuser. It's not going to happen. Shepard shuts him down, and Virtus.pro go 5-1 on the attacking half of Bank, and they have been dominant. There's no other way of describing it. What an attack from them. They corrected what went wrong last time. They got that diffuser down. Yes, they lost the cover, but the nitro missed. The smoke wasn't there, and it just allowed them that space. 3v5, and G2 had it all to do on the retake and couldn't do any of it.
We have those days where players, they're near the top of our tables. I'm looking at players like Pasha, Freck, Doom, always as well, always had a brilliant start to this stage. And they've all gone a bit quiet at points as well, which has led to them dropping down slightly. Others get to jump over them and so on and so forth. Pasha is currently our top-rated player in the whole of the EML. And in this game, I think his EPS now sits at something ridiculous like 190. Like, he is charging ahead, something spectacular. 11-2 he sits at, 100% cost. He's nearly got an average of 2 kills per round, Tim. He is absolutely dominating. And when you've got always sat at 6-1, Shepard at 6-1, this is it doesn't feel like G2 versus Virtus.pro. It feels like Virtus.pro versus a tier 2 team at this point. No, of course, no offense to tier 2 teams, but Virtus.pro have just, they don't give them any room to make a play or really anything to happen. G2 get the occasional C4, maybe they get the occasional flurry of kills like we saw back in round 3, but that's a small like blip on the radar for Virtus.pro. A 5-1 half. Good Lord. This is a mountain that stands before G2. And truthfully, Tim, I don't think they overcome it here. This is just too much to do.
I agree. Like I said, 4-2, 5-1. They're getting Virtus.pro onto. Virtus.pro need to hold on to one side. They just need to hold on to one side 2 times. That's it. Done. They've won. I think there's, like you say, too big a mountain for climb. I think there's a good example there of maybe how G2 are feeling. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Blaz trying to stick the disable there. And I'm not having to go him. I know sometimes you just got to make a play. You got to make a move. But let's not make it, let's make no bones about it. In a 2 versus 3, trying to go for the disable there, tucked in behind the reinforcement. It's a Hail Mary. You don't have any control. You know that Virtus.pro are going to attack you in that position. It's a Hail Mary. You're kind of hoping that they make a mistake, that they drop the ball. Maybe they don't realise that you've got on it as quickly as you have, and you just kind of go in for it, and I get it. But it just shows that G2 are kind of clutching a little bit. But that is what they need. Switch of the half. Alamau comes out with a really strong start there. Look who he's taken out. Not only has he taken Pasha down on 11-3, that's the tub gone. Zoto canisters are now offline. It gives G2 something to work with.
And the C4 gone as well as the crucial one to note, something that could really ruin G2's day if they try and push in on that top side. They're looking good. For G2, I'm leaning in towards those 2 operators that we see teams like Falcons run an awful lot as well. The Deimos on the Dockerbeat pairing. I speak about this pairing all the time, Tim. Extremely good as a pairing for roaming, for trying to clear out roamers, sorry. Of course, the weakness of the Deimos gets tracked onto one person, you get baited by someone else. The Dockerbeat helps do away with that, but the Dockerbeat by itself maybe isn't quite as to the point as you would like someone like Deimos to be. So I think as a pairing, Loira and Doki here can get an awful lot of work done. They've just got to not get sideswiped by players on Virtus.pro that are out around them out looking to cause bother. Good news for them is all 4 players are now back on site, and that's all they've got to contend with. All they've got to contend with, like it's that easy.
Just all they've got to do, Des.
That's it. Just deal with Virtus.pro.
They've just got to take out Shepard and Always. 12-2. It's all they've got to do. G2 do know that there's one inside the garage. It's going to be Joystick looking to hold on from there. Smoke targets by Deimos, so we're moving into the pressure cooker now. The tension is mounting. Virtus.pro are going to be backs to the wall pretty soon because G2 are starting to ramp things up a little bit. You hear the bees going in from the Grim. We've got Alamau ready with the Raura. We've got the push coming into Garage. There's going to be that 3-2-1, and G2 are going to push forward all at the same time. And here they come.
Here we go, we're cooking now. So around the backside. Oh, I really thought for a second the joystick might have his number, but no. Doki gets one. Of course, right in front of them is Shepard as well, feeding information on what's going on. They were looking in for the planting, but they said no. Go for the kills instead. Always getting rid of Doki. Things not looking 100% here, but they have closed off a lot of doorways to keep them nice and safe here. They can't be pushed from the backside here. It's a nice little lane they've got, and now the diffuser is down. This is going to be hard for Virtus.pro to navigate.
That's great from G2. Absolutely love that attack. It's going to be one to really go back and break down, watch exactly where they sealed off and how it worked. They shut it down from above. Beautiful stuff from G2. Have they got this in them, Des? Have they got this in them?
Have they?
Have they?
I mean, you never know.
What a first round on attack!
I don't think you come onto a map like Bang. Like I said at the very start, the one thing I'm mindful of is G2 picked this map, and you pick this map for a reason. It's because you've got a game plan. And the game plan is not get slapped about on defense for 6 rounds straight by Virtus.pro, right? You're mainly planning out here for something like on the attacking side to come up with some really cool strats, things that you think is very, very counter to the way that Virtus.pro play the game. And as you saw in that round, they like playing quite turtle. They're not going to have 3 players out on the road going high progressive. It is just not their style. They love these very slow defensive operators. Things like the glue, things like mute, things like the smoke that you're seeing here. You're going to see a lot of that throughout this half, I expect. And so I think at least with how things are shaping up, G2 have definitely got ideas in mind. It's can they have 5 ideas in mind that work out to send this to overtime, or better yet, win a 6-0 and take 3 points away from Virtus.pro. What story that would be?
I think, you know, a good sign for G2 fans there is the hype that Dorky's still bringing in. 5-1, and the manner of that 5-1 half against Virtus.pro, it'd be understandable for G2 to be kind of heads down, a little bit quiet. You know, they've been beaten up a bit in the first half, but absolutely not. They are firing on all cylinders still inside of that team. They are ready to go. You could see it from Dorky, completely revved up at getting that round and how well it went. And honestly, that is... whilst it's not a knockout punch by any means to Virtus.pro, it is a serious body blow. That's going to knock the wind out of them.
All right. Well, G2 have got something else in mind, Tim. It's still more of the same in towards the Dockery and the Deimos. That's the way they're working through the map and forcing Virtus.pro back, taking away that map control that they might otherwise establish. But think back to what I said a second ago. They like to play very defensive. 4 players on site. Joystick still on the hatch, ready to drop away at a moment's notice. No one looking to get out with cheeky C4s like Doki was doing in Arcos back on the defensive half of G2. It is very reserved and very, very withdrawn. They kind of want to play G2 at the time game. But as we remarked before we got into the game, G2 can be quite an explosive team. Sometimes very unpredictable. Sometimes that goes the right way. Sometimes it doesn't. But I never really think of them as a slow team here, especially when Alamau is running around in the blitz and they've got Candelas for days in back pocket.
Didn't end up needing the first one to get inside of open area. It was cleared out instead, simply by Virtus.pro deciding, enough's enough, we're going to leave this. It's going to be holding down those flanks while they start to get the hatches here, G2. This time, Virtus.pro do have their Zorto canisters in hand. They haven't lost Pasha at the beginning of the round. I picked up on that entry kill from Alamau in round 7. I said how critical it likely would be, and G2 really did hit the accelerator after that. So let's see how they do now. A minute 40 into the round, they are still suffering this delay coming out from the Zorto canisters. Pasha is still on side, so G2 need to show a little bit more restraint and patience this time.
There's no warden you've got to worry about contending with here. Hasn't even been banned away. It's just that Virtus.pro haven't chose to play it. First phone call comes out. Candela start raining on through. First one hits an ADS. Second one hits an ADS. Not super ideal. Don't know how the second one did, but the first one didn't. But here we go. And nothing has really happened, Tim. You'd expect them to make it be going a little bit sooner. Maybe that was trying to bait things out here. As now we start the march on forward. Here he comes. Sees a man off towards his right. The knife comes on through. He's got to be so careful here, but gets away with the kill. Still one more inside of the corridor he's got to look out for. But Stomping is here in tow as well on the Deimos. Stepping on force, but no. Finds himself going down to Shepard. 2 kills from Loira, and G2 are up on top. Loira living up to his name, unleashing the beast, finding 3 kills for himself, and Shepard is stuck all alone here, Tim, inside a garage. Nothing he can do. Loira makes it a 4th. What a round from him, and G2 yet again show they can get the job done.
Excuse me, G2? Where was this G2 in the first half? They've come out looking like a completely different team, Des. Lyra's just absolutely run through Virtus.pro with a 4K there. Beautiful stuff. And when you look at round 4, 5, 6, Pasha, always Pasha, 3K in every round. That is something Virtus.pro were doing to them. Coming in, getting those big multi-kills. What an answer from G2. They get their first 2 attacks, but now comes the challenge, I think. Coming into round 9. They've successfully attacked onto basement twice. Virtus.pro will move on now. Virtus.pro will go up to the top floor. And it's like I said, if you remember at the beginning, coming in 5-1, Virtus.pro just need to find one site. If G2 can take top floor away from them as well now, that is... It's again not the knockout punch, but you've moved from the body blow and you've caught them a good one on the chin, because then Virtus.pro looking at it thinking, well, can we find a site that we can get a win on? So this is the big one for me. Virtus.pro at the minute, I think mentally, in the back of your mind, thinking, look, we've only lost basement. It doesn't really matter. We just need to hold top floor. This is our site now. This is the one for us. This is the one that we're locked down. But if they don't successfully do it, then they could be in some real trouble.
I want to say it was a game between Team Empire, obviously of old, and FaZe on Cafe, where I can't remember if it was FaZe or if it was Team Empire back at the time, but played the same site 5 times in a row when losing it on defense. Just kept on trying to force it, couldn't make it happen, switched site on the 6th, and I believe they won the 6th one to send it to overtime. But glad to see at least that persistence and that stubbornness has definitely gone away. Only seen that Lockers picked up twice there, lost twice in a row, so we now step ourselves away to the top floor. And on with you, Tim. This is where we've got to see how things play out. It's all good making it work on the downstairs twice, but top floor is a very, very different story. Virtus.pro were almost mechanical at getting this cleared out. There was very little that G2 could do to stop them. Can G2 do the same back?
Yeah, it's been a great 2 rounds to G2. No 2 ways about it. This one for me is the true momentum shifter. Stompin sends in the smokes. He's going to be just getting onto that thermal scope. And look at this. They're straight in. They're getting a plant down. They find a couple of kills. G2 surely going to hold on to this. They do. The plant is successful. And the little rush tactic has worked. And don't forget, getting out of the windows is much less of an option here. They've got to fight them from the lobby. Honestly, I don't see any way Virtus.pro overturn this.
I was going to say they needed to get rid of Pasha because they couldn't play on the windows whilst he was there, but Alamau has read that perfectly. Forget about the plan. I ain't going to be here anymore. Has gone to lobby and cleared out his man. Joystick getting one back, but the fuse is coming on through. In they come through the window, but no, look at this, Tim. He's playing around this window, and this might be enough to start getting a couple of kills back. Never mind, Joystick's down, and he is going to be toast surely. Finds one for himself onto Stomping, but the closeout is there. G2 get 3 rounds in a row, and what a game of 2 halves this has become.
Oh, it's been wonderful stuff. I was begging for this entertainment out of this game. I said, I think we're going to see a lot of Siege. And then Virtus.pro go 5-1. And I'm kind of thinking, no, not like this, Virtus.pro. We don't want it over that quick. And here we are, 5-4, G2 fighting back in. And like I say, for me, that is a big momentum shifter now. That is a big blow that G2 have just landed, because Virtus.pro are thinking, well, where do we go? Basement hasn't worked. Top floor hasn't worked. And we're running out of time. We're running out of chances here. We need to lock down one of these sites so that we can get 2 rounds successfully on it. The problem they've got now is they don't necessarily get that chance. They're going to go to basement. So let's, for argument's sake, say they get basement. It's 6-4. It's then going to be 6-6 before they can go back down to basement if G2 keep coming back at them. So they now have a problem. They can't just hold on to one site anymore. They need to win 2.
Well, look where we're going to try and go, Tim. Back down to that basement. The third of 4 rounds. For the third time across 4 rounds, sorry, Virtus.pro feel this is where they can find the answer. I'm not so sure. They're really trying to run through G2's strapbox here and just hoping they'll run out of lines at the end of it. I don't think they will. They'll always have an idea on how to break down this team that, once again, if you look towards the operators in the bottom left corner of your screen, it's all slow. The only one that you can possibly see roaming is Joystick. You know exactly where he's going to plant himself. It'll be sat on the hatch and he'll drop away in no time at all if we find G2 starting to look a bit too aggressive. And I just think that G2 know this. They know this weakness, this play style from Virtus.pro that they can find an answer to. I don't know, Virtus.pro, call the timeout, boys. It should have been in the last round, really. We've got to have a conversation about this because things have fallen away very, very quickly after such a strong first half. It's all falling apart here and coming undone. I
agree with you. I think it might have been, a time to have that discussion, a time to slow things down. But for the time being, they go on. They need to lock down this basement here, Virtus.pro. G2 level it up 5-5. It is absolutely anybody's at that point. Like I said, they just look like a completely different beast coming in here on attack. This doesn't look like the same team that we saw in the first half. And I'd say the reverse of Virtus.pro. Virtus.pro were absolutely clinical on attacking that first half. They were a nightmare to deal with. They had plans inside of plans inside of plans, whereas on the defense they just look a little bit lost at sea. It's complete shock and awe from G2. It's Virtus.pro kind of like a deer in the headlights. They don't know what's going on at the minute.
What I will give, as I think it says more about the attacking prowess of both teams than it does so much the defensive weakness of either. Like, I know it'd be to look at it and go, oh, well, we've seen, like, what, one defensive round win all game. I don't think a defender are just bad. I honestly think a lot of it comes down to how good and how organised both teams have been. Like, the drills that you've seen out of Virtus.pro in that first half have been every smoke, every drone, everything is just perfectly placed. They know what they're doing. From G2, it has been, for lack of a better word, 3 like mid-round rushes. They've got themselves in spot and they've just dumped all the utilities. They go, 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 and capitalised on the chaos. It hasn't been as slow as the attacks out of Virtus.pro. It's getting the results, which is the important part. For Virtus.pro, they've got to find a way to stop these executes being as powerful as they are, but G2 are no slouches, Tim. They're not going to let that happen.
No, not at all. Like you say, it's certainly these attacking teams coming in and winning these rounds. We're going to have the X-Kairos pellets on the wall. That will take the reinforcement off, nice and soft, so that can be opened up with a shotgun now and give access in towards that default spot. Stomp is up on the hatch with the Capitao. Perfect operator to be up there. He's got that utility, can send in the smoke arrows, send in the fire arrows, create difficulty for the player in red to be able to send that over to Chanka. Could be a big deciding factor though. We can see the flames in front of them, and Shepard's got 18 canisters left in that Shumiker launcher.
They'll go deep. They'll go deep. They have to go deep here, Tim. They've got no choice. They've got smokes, they've got fire, they've got all sorts of tools and toys they can play with. Another phone call coming out from Laura. This needs to be their go button, Tim. But look at that. They're sat in smoke after smoke and fire and everything else that can be thrown at them. It's looking pretty miserable. And with that delay, like I said, if they can slow G2 down, it's the way to a win. They get 2 kills, but in from the back line comes Doki. Finds one, finds the second, making 3 in total. He has just swept through this back line. Dan, down to 3 seconds. Plant going down. Doki has just got to hold here and not go down. He finds his man. A 4K from Doki after Laura did the same in the last round. Where are the heroes when you need them, Tim? They're all on this G2 lineup.
As if the PSG Talon skin didn't already look good enough, Des. Doki just absolutely styles his way through the back line with a brilliantly timed backstab there. Just drops down in through that locker's window and takes them one out. And you could see from his movement that he was just in the floor, wasn't he? He gets the first, he flips the lean, he hits the second. Brilliant stuff from Doki. I cannot wax lyrical enough about that. Straight in with it's this bit. Watch this lean as he comes out. He knows where he's coming from. Beautiful stuff from Doki. Gets it over the line. Virtus.pro, I feel for them. They absolutely stacked that site with denial. You had Tachanka, you had Goyo, you had Smoke, and they were doing their job. It was keeping G2 at bay, and then they were just opened up like a tin of beans, Des.
Yeah, one thing I'll remark on here, and maybe it's slightly unfair to do so. Look, let's not hide away from it. Stompin's having a rough game compared to the rest of his team. He's playing a lot of roles, like the Capitals we've seen, that haven't been the most favourable for that. Things like the Grim, we see them on the Glass, maybe a little bit of Deimos as well, fine. The one thing I'll remark on here is that, don't forget, Virtus.pro, this calibre of team, Stompin has not faced off against these guys in Tier 1 before. This is like a whole new experience. You haven't really been a pro until you played against Virtus.pro, but the rest of this team have. They've got that experience of being down 5-1 and going, oh my God, we are getting battered, but still being able to come out in round 7 and play like this. It's not at all a slight on Stompin. Actually, I'm almost happy in a way that he's getting this experience now rather than, let's say, a LAN, to know what it feels like to get bruised and battered so heavily by a team that you seemingly can't find a way to stop, and to then watch the team around you rally and fight your way back in. That's the kind of experience that a rookie needs, and I think this is going to be so valuable for him.
It'll certainly be tougher for the experience, I think.
Oh, yeah.
As will anybody playing against Virtus.pro, as you say. You know, just a real nightmare team to use it, because mechanically they're so gifted. But Inco G2 could be a bit of an error here. They're going to lose one. They lose 2, Des. It was all going right for them, and And then they tried another one of those aggressive maneuvers to get on into sight, and it has not worked out. VP were ready for it, and you've got to say there's a bit of you. They've telegraphed it for the last few rounds that this is the way they're playing, and VP have read into that and said, if you're going to do it again, we're going to punish you for it. They were ready. They've locked it down. 5 versus 3. Virtus.pro might just get themselves the crucial round to guarantee overtime and to give them a chance to win this one outright.
I don't think so much here that it's the G2 have, like, you know, strictly come out with a new strat or tried the same thing and now it's finally come undone. The thing that has come undone is the team play. EML was the only person pushing in towards site. Look at when Doki got that 3 or 4K a couple of rounds ago. It was off the back of from being distracted by the execute coming in on the other side. There was no one to give distraction to EML. He was the only person in sight. So sure, he's pressuring this guy on quad wall, but there's a guy off towards his left who is completely unbothered, nothing else to do except shoot him in the head as he tries to take out a teammate, and then Laura follows in and dies in exactly the same fashion. G2 were broken apart here. They've attacked completely out of sync. They paid the price for it. This round is on their shoulders. I say that, we're back to a 3v3. Okay, all right.
We saw Doki with some big clutch moments yesterday. He gets one to get them rolling. Blaz manages to find a second, so we find ourselves now 3 versus 3. But look at the health on the side of G2. That's a big factor at the minute. They
can't lose it, Tim.
Less than a full bar between Stomper and Blaz. It's a big ask at this point against 3, including an Echo on the side of Virtus.pro. But Shepard takes some damage, manages to find Stomper, however. 3 versus 2 now. Virtus.pro have an advantage, but here goes Doki. And Blaz manages to join him. They both low health, but it's all up to Shepard. He finds one. Can he find both of them? It's 2 in the round. He's looking for 3 dead. 5 seconds and he gets him. Virtus.pro close out the round. It shouldn't have been that close, but they get it done, and they get themselves that map point opportunity.
It never should have come down to needing that kind of play out of Shepard. They were 5 versus 3, Tim. Completely fair play. Blaz and Doki have gone and got kills on the top floor and drew it way back down to a 3 versus 3. But my God, this second half, it's been bonkers. Laura had a 4K back in round 8, EML with a 3K in 9, Doki a 4K in 10, and just to add to it, through rounds 4 and 6, 3 players on the side of Virtus.pro got 3Ks as well. It has just been ridiculous, the quality of individual and team-based play that we have seen through this entire map.
It's just phenomenal performances on both sides. We're just sat here just being treated to this, and they are just wailing on each other. There is absolutely no quarter offered or taken. It's absolutely unreal from both of them. We knew coming into today, we knew this was going to be a good game. But at the 5-1 half, I'll hold my hands up. I thought Virtus.pro were going to just get it wrapped up and we were going to see a 7-2, a 7-3, casual as you like from Virtus.pro. But no, G2 have shown their quality again, and they've fought their way back in. 6-5 now, Virtus.pro. Attack timeout to slow things down, which I think is right from them. G2 have been playing on a lot of energy, a lot of momentum, and I think, win the round and just take even more sting out of this G2 side. Give them a attack timeout. Let them think about the fact that they've maybe just lost that momentum, that the train has been derailed.
Nah, I don't think it's going to come down to that. Don't forget, of course, G2 won round 3 back in that first half, and next round, Virtus.pro were back without missing a beat. They only lost 1 player in that entire round. In fact, across their first 3 rounds that they won, they only lost 3 players in total. They were dominant across them all, and that win for G2 meant nothing. I would hope for G2 it's been more of the same, given we're going back to another primary site. We've seen the downstairs 3 times, lost by Virtus.pro 3 times. Top floor played once, lost by Virtus.pro once as well. So for G2, there'll be some confidence coming into this top floor, I expect. It's really going to come down to Virtus.pro here, and honestly, I think it's going to require another big moment from a big player. Shepard was that guy in the last round. It's been passionate throughout much of the game as well. We've got to see something spectacular come out of this.
So last time that G2 won this site, it was on the back of a blitz plant. They got in there aggressively, straight in and started putting that diffuser down. It was one of their kind of rush plays. They're not going to be doing that this time. EML is on the knock, so keep an eye on him. How much impact will he have? If he gets himself an opening kill and create a bit of space, then maybe that works. But G2 doing something different here. It's going to be more sort of steadily paced. They're going to be playing more of a standard siege round rather than pushing in aggressively with that shield to throw the diffuser on the ground. So let's see just how it pans out for them. Doki's got diffuser in hand at the minute, and that Doki's not usually a planter.
Oh, that was very close there for a second. I thought a second nade coming in. Problem is now, Tim, they've used both nades, and that Evil Eye is still in sight, sat in the back corner, can see everything happening inside of it, and then get rid of any hard breach that might get used to try and clear off the janitor wall, for example. I'm a little bit nervous at that point that you might find Shepard being able to get away with an awful lot.
I love how tense this is. We're halfway through the round and neither wants to kind of lose it for trying to win it. They're not going in as aggressively. Both sides just happy to hold the lines for the time being. G2 slowly manoeuvring, positioning themselves, jostling for that map control while Virtus.pro just dig in and wait for the fights to come, and they will. And Doki manages to get the opener onto Dan. First blow goes to G2.
Look how locked in they are, though, Tim. There's two of them inside of Janitor here. They know that it's very much the center point in this defense. The one at top right, they're aware of as well. The one out towards elevators, they know about too. They've got all the knowledge they need here, G2. It's now about making a move as a team. Not moving as a team is what cost them in the last round. Here comes Alamau. Oh, he gets his mount, but goes down in the process. Stompin might be able to save him, though, as well. A flash up top, just to make sure he can get away with it, and will be able to get his captain back alive.
That's really big from Stompin. Not only does he manage to create that distraction, Alamau gets the kill. He's there to pick him up and put him on his feet again. 5 versus 3, and surely now G2 can get this done and give us a few extra rounds of magic. Always will be downed. He manages to find Loira, but it's probably not enough. Is it? Shepard, Thatcher, 1 each, excuse me. 1 versus 2 now, G2. 15 seconds left to go. They don't have time to pause, and look who it is, Des. He's done it to them once. Can he do it again? Shepard, no, he can't. Blaz gets the kill, and we're going to overtime, Des.
This is most definitely another one of those games going down in the book of there are two halves to a game of Siege, because it has just proven it to the absolute T. At 5-1 down, we were like, there's just no way. Like, Virtus.pro are on a different level today. G2 can't fight it back. What have they done? Fought it all the way back. And the one round they lost, I know we spoke about it at the time, but for me, that was down to G2, not really down to Virtus.pro so much winning the round. I look back at the round that G2 won in the first half and honestly credit them for their play in that round being the reason they got it over the line. So it's been nail-bitingly close between the two. We had 2 trades in this round, both led to one player dying and one being down but not out. Either way, it's G2 that came out on top. When I saw Shepard in another 1 versus 2, I really thought he was going to do it again, too. He was going to break G2 hearts even, but now we get to see how things shape up again. The annoying part for G2 is Virtus.pro get 2 bites of the cherry on the attack. G2 only get 1. They have to win one of these defenses if they want to come away with the 2 points.
Just to remind everybody, so far out of 12 rounds, we've had 10 successful attacks and only 2 defenses. That's why we mentioned these sides coming into the overtime. It could be a defining factor. Best of 3 rounds now. G2 need to overcome the odds, and they are going to try down in the basement to begin with. But we saw the attacks from Virtus.pro. We saw how clinical they were, how measured they were. There was no rush in them. They didn't expose themselves to unnecessary risk. They just went in there, took the map piece by piece, created the space that they wanted, and then played the objective. It was really, really good attacking, just like G2 had their, hyper-aggressive, energetic attacks that worked really well. Virtus.pro had a very different style, but the same results.
All right, G2 for the most part, very dug in, looking really an awful lot like how Virtus.pro might play things. Of course, operator-wise in the attack, it is, I'd say, unique to Virtus.pro. Very rarely do you see Sledge getting picked up, very rarely do you see Fuse getting picked up, but they make it work time and time again. Also seen a couple of teams along the way make use of things like the Striker. I mean, Dan in this case making use of it. I remember seeing FaZe doing an awful lot as well, and asking Furious, and asking, you guys play Striker with the most percentage of any team. Why is that? And the coach was just saying the flexibility that it offers to your attacking lineup is honestly ridiculous. And that might sound counterintuitive because you're losing the primary gadget, but it's the fact that you get 2 sets of secondary. They can just do everything you need them to, Striker, whether it's looking towards, of course, bringing along the heart breach, whether it's looking towards the nades to clear away utilities, stop breach, you name it. They can do everything you need.
what we're seeing a great example of in a couple of the shots that we've seen so far of Virtus.pro and their push is this style that we talk about, where they're going to do the same thing. We know what Virtus.pro are going to do. They've got the MAV opening the hatches. They've got the nades from top square down to clear out blue. You know what they're going to do. They are just so mechanically skilled at doing it that it can be difficult to stop them, and that is what G2 face up to right now. They know what is coming from Virtus.pro. They've failed to stop them twice. Can they do it this time? Virtus.pro haven't yet got control of server. 1 minute left to go. Often a good way to deal with Virtus.pro is to frustrate them on time, but Lyra getting a little bit ambitious there. Pokes his head out, and Virtus.pro, they had that locked down.
Well, now we're going to see him pinch onto Lyra again. I'll tell you what, he steps out, he shows a shoulder to him, and Pasha is there taking his skull for free. Now getting themselves ready for this execute. We've seen so many of them in that first half. They are nearly impossible to stop. Virtus.pro pulling the trigger, and G2 desperate to find a way to hold on.
I hope Stompen's been practicing that lineup, because the Shumika canisters are going to have to be bang in the right position here to prevent this going down. We often see the Tajanka, it's a tough one to deny the plant. He's going to keep sending those Shumikas in. Will we see this case start to go down onto the ground? 15 seconds left to go. Yes, always. Starts to lock it in. They're a little bit short. He's not taking damage. Always is going to secure it. That was the element that I picked up on Stompen. Had to make sure they were in the right place. Couldn't do it. Blaz manages to find Dan, but it's 4 versus 3. G2 have got 30 seconds left to save themselves.
It's a lot to do against 4 players as well, so you don't see Virtus.pro losing from that position, not when there's a shield staring at them and feeding all the information they need. Gonna have to go aggressive, but look at that, there's one on the hatch as well, believe it. Shepard gets himself the one, there'll always be a second, and there's a shield in his face at the same time. Pasha's back to fragging ways, and they get the shutdowns they need. G2 now on the back foot, and Virtus.pro need a single round to take the 2 points they need, I believe, if they win this next round, would also jump them over G2 in the standings.
It is so tough to play the Tachanka from that position. I feel for Stompen there. We've seen it so many times. That's why I said it. That's why I picked up on it. We know that it is a difficult shot to hit. It's not about hitting the door. It's about getting them far enough back to affect that default spot. And it is a tough lineup to find. So many that have gone before him have come away with the same outcome. So Virtus.pro, unsurprisingly, I think it's fair to say, get themselves another attack. It's now 11 successful attacks and only 2 successful defenses. Virtus.pro are going to be looking to buck that trend and get it done here and now.
All right. Nothing crazy immediately jumping out of me from that lineup though, Tim. It's looking, again, more towards tried and tested, Virtus.pro style, sit deep, play smart, and believe that you can out-frag your opponents. For G2 is to be going back into that strat book again, though. We spoke about this during their half on the attacking side. They attacked this site 3 times. They won all 3. It's really a test from Virtus.pro to see if they've got something else here that G2 can throw at them that's going to surprise either side. And is there an answer? It looks like there might be, because the Nossos now are getting brought along. Haven't seen this attacking lineup come out yet. So G2 has still got something else in the tank they can bring out here against the other side. No Dockerby on side, but that has been stepped away as Alamau here moves across instead, playing on that striker.
Reloading.
Yep, Lyra's going to be important in this. Is going to be the sort of, we often say, the tip of the spear, the sharp end of that attack. That's where your focus is going to be. Lyra and Stompen particularly. Doki's going to use Deimos to create the space, to create a little bit of chaos with those tracks going in, and then it's going to be down to the utility of the Capitão and the shields of the Ursa to create the space for Blaz to be able to put that diffuser down, but also the cover as well can come from those Talon shields. So G2, first things first, they need to get that top floor locked down, make sure they're comfortable, and it's going to be joystick that they're hunting.
Sure. I mean, the problem is I have, or the concern I have, is that sometimes G2 have found the entry in a round and still gone on to lose it anyway. Other thing about, you know, in this case, it's been when joystick has gone down early on, the G2 have then pressed on the attacking side, admittedly, and got themselves ahead. On the other side of things, it's not been so pretty. So that conversion of the attacking round is the crucial one to look for. However, there's no big rush I think you're going to see lined up there. When you have things like the Oster on side, things are a little bit slower. They haven't got tons of smokes to play behind. It's just what Stompen has got in back pocket. So for G2, it feels like a slower approach to the round, but I'm just a little bit nervous it's going to play into how Virtus.pro want this round to play out. They want it to match their slow style. G2 have found success being fast. This round, they are not fast.
Doki just going to hold on to main stairs for the time. We're minute 30 through the round, so plenty of time yet for G2 to work with. We've seen them try to drop Vault. We've seen them work through Garage. We've seen them using those other multiple angles to create pressure. As it is, Loira is not going to be looking to work towards server with the Ossa. Instead, he's coming in through Garage. Looks like he's supported by, I'm pretty sure it's Stomping, if I'm right, on the outline as well. So the Capito going to work into Garage along with him. Yes, it is. So there's a lot of eggs being put in this basket down in Garage, Des.
Yeah, it's Shepard to start things out. He's got the first kill they need. Is it going to be the twist of the tail that they sorely need? Almost gets a second as well. Stepping in through the smoke, but it's going to force Alamau back here. Didn't fancy that smoke, quite literally in this case as well. And now support might start coming on through from other members of G2. Here comes Doki, and sure enough, it's a freebie. Shepard finally taken away, down to a 4 versus 4.
Pasha's in such an important position here. He literally holds 50% of G2 at bay, but he cannot do it as Stompen manages to find the kill. It was a tough round on the Tachanka, but he comes out big on the Capitão when G2 need him. 4 versus 2 as Joystick gets taken out on the main stairs. 19 seconds left to go. It's go time for G2. They've got to get into a position to put this diffuser down. Alamau has it in hand. They can just go for kills here realistically. Dan is all the way back in goal. He's tracked. They know his position. They go to cut him down, and Will, a perfectly timed pinch coming in from G2 to take us all the way to 15.
Wow. I mean, match of the day certainly is not disappointing. And also the fact that it's taken us to round 15, it shows that it didn't matter whether you leant towards G2 or towards Virtus.pro. I think you were pretty fair in your expectations to come out of this game, because one round now separates. Whoever wins this next one, they walk away with the 2 points. The loser gets sent home with 1. But at least both teams get something out of it, because it has been one hell of a spectacle so far, Tim. I think we know what the expectations in this next round. The Virtus.pro should come away the winner as the attackers. But you just never know. You just don't know.
You really don't. It's... Coming into it, I said it was anybody's. You know, I said G2 are this roller coaster team, whereas, you know, that might be a bit strong, but we see kind of up and down performances, you know, a lot of emotion, a lot of energy from them, whereas Virtus.pro, we see this consistent, stable team generally. You know, you always know you're going to get that 80-90% level from them. G2 have come out in this set. It is proven true just within this game, I think. You know, you've had G2 come out and struggle in the first half, and then 120% in the second half, just absolutely flying through it. So if anybody can hold down a defense here, we know that it's going to be G2, but all bets are off right now.
They are. Again, I look back at round 3 and it feels so ridiculously long ago. It did come down to an entry start for G2. As I mentioned, it was Doki finding Joyce. We've seen that a lot throughout this game so far. Stomping with the diffuse at the back of an always plant as we hit that 0-second mark as well. It was chaos even back then, looking back at it. It was a bit of a blip, a little bit of a sanctuary in the middle of a desert, you might call it, because it was such a rare thing to see G2 having any advantage in that first half that I think you're still hard-pressed to believe that you're going to see it coming out here. But almost every step, Virtus.pro's remarks are the ones who've got to transform things a little bit here.
Virtus.pro have got themselves set up on the roof for the time being. They will start working their way through. Doki nearly gets himself taken out. Needs to be careful. They are really chasing this one. They know they can taste the blood in the water, but Doki is going to drop away, get himself back to sight, and that is going to be everybody returned. Virtus.pro within 55 seconds have got map control and can now start working towards clearing that utility on site.
What I like is that as a small tweak again by Virtus.pro. The number of times that we've seen Joystick on the top floor on the sledge, start out up there, gets C4 by Doki, then falls back towards site. It's happened, what, at least 3 times throughout this game. Whereas I think the smart play here was having Pasha be the one to go aggressive to begin with. In fact, it was on the Nook attacking the Teller's Archive site where he had the real big impact from that spot. But just to be there to try and catch Doki in case, 1, he gets the C4 and gets away, they can at least trade him out, or 2, they get the kill before he can even find a C4 kill. It would have been spectacular for them, but he manages to weasel himself away on half HP. As you say, Tim, now back on site, and most crucially, that C4 still in back pocket.
Trying trying to waste the time here, but it won't affect the Maverick. The blowtorch will work its way through the Zoto canister, through the hatch, through everything ahead of it. But can Virtus.pro do the same? 5 versus 5, 1 minute left to go, no opening kill yet, but again, it's this same job that they've been doing throughout, clearing that utility. We see the Vulcan canisters moving away, but if you remember, we've seen this lineup before. Tachanka, Goyo, Smoke, just trying to throw all the denial that they can at that plant spot. The question is, can they hit the mark this time, G2?
That's better. That's a good
That's a better lineup.
Off the side, it bounces down towards that default plant spot, so should be able to stop it. They've also got these C4s, that, well, one C4 now, don't forget, plus 3 smokes, and we're down towards the last 35. Problem is, we've been here before and G2 had loads of utility, and Virtus.pro just killed 3 people out of nowhere. They're looking for this backstab. They're starting to line themselves up, so I'm a little bit nervous that it could happen again.
Always went in for the plant there, took a bunch of damage. He's going to do exactly the same. We can see now he's down to half. He's dropped that diffuser. He's likely passing it on. Exactly that. Shepherd takes up the mantle. He's going to look to move in, but look at this denial, Des. It just keeps on coming. After the kills, Stomp and Dorky. Dorky with another 4 versus 2. Surely it's over. Dorky's had another huge moment with a triple. Blast closes it out, and G2 take a hard-fought win on Bank.
Wow, just as we said, if any sighting was going to happen on Tim, it was going to be the one that G2 won on the defense back in round 3. Fantastic hold. There was no crazy backstab coming out of that one. Absolutely magical, and why not a little celebration kiss? Never a bad thing either. For G2, a very hard-fought victory.